Good morning, everyone. I apologize that we were running a little bit behind this morning. Everyone was trying to make it in for the meeting. So I will now call this board meeting to order. I would like to ask that if you would like to address the board, just please come to the microphone and identify yourself by name, title, and institution. At this time, I'm going to start by introducing our fellow board members. Grayson Bigger from Pocahontas, Dr. Jerry Cash from Harrison, Dr. Jim Carr from Searcy, Dr. Catherine Dudley from Little Rock, Chad Hooten from Benton, Heather Maxey from Mountain Home, Dr. Kyle Miller, I believe, is joining us via Zoom this morning from Helena, Lucas Pointer from Bentonville, and Ms. Carolyn Reinhardt from Scranton. Our additional guest. Is President Jones here? Yes. Before I turn us over to the Finance Committee, I'd like for President Russell Jones to come and give us the official welcome.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I hope everybody found it okay. We've got construction going on, so sometimes we have to take alternative routes across. So thank you very much for joining us here on the campus of ATU. We recently adopted a new vision statement that we always start everything out, and I would like to even read it real quickly to you. The Arkansas Tech University will empower its students to pursue their dreams and unlock their full potential by providing a high-quality, challenging education, creating a path to personal and professional success across the Arkansas River Valley, the state, the nation, and beyond. For those of you who are not familiar with Arkansas Tech, we like to call ourselves 3 campuses and 1 university. And so what I'd like to do is just give you a brief overview of our 3 different campuses that we have. First of all, we have the Russellville campus. As it was with 3 of our sister institutions, we were all created in 1909, so all of us are in about our 115th year in the state. Our campus here, later became Arkansas Polytechnic College in 1925, later become Arkansas Tech University in 1976. Our overall enrollment at ATU is just north of 9,000. Of those, roughly 7,000 attend our Russellville campus. We have a high focus on quality. We believe in retention and recruitment, and we're proud to say that this year we set an all-time school record. We had 75% retention rate between freshman and sophomore, which is the highest we've ever experienced. And all that credit goes to our faculty and staff that have made this such a welcoming place for people to come to, so that once they come here, they know they found the right place. Next campus we have is the ATU Ozark campus, which is located about 45 miles up the road toward Fort Smith. It joined our university in 2003. The enrollment on our 2-year campus is 2,115. We emphasize short-term credentials that directly lead to career opportunities and workforce development. We offer degrees and certificates in such things as health sciences, business, and all the trades, including HVAC, electrical, and all of those workforce development areas. ATU Ozark has a close relationship with many of our industry partners. We really appreciate the state with the Arkansas Futures Grant that's really changed the face of ATU Ozark and allowed a lot of our students to attend that otherwise couldn't attend. So we appreciate the state support through the ATU Futures Grant. Next, we have our Career Center that's located here off the campus of the Russellville High School. It has seen such big improvements. We had a 20% increase in enrollment this year. We now service over 800 students at our high school location, and we have 15 different high school school systems that bus their people to our Career Center here in the River Valley. So the only problem we have is we need bigger space and more space, and it just shows that our high school systems are moving more toward the workforce development. They're looking for alternative pathways. And again, we've seen such a great increase there year after year. And we have the good problem of we're simply out of space. ATCC programs lead to high skill, high demand jobs and prepare also students for post-secondary. And we're glad to say we have a nice working relationship with all the industries here in the River Valley and beyond. The last thing I'd like to bring up is one of the reasons you might have had trouble finding this building is because of a little new construction. We are about a fourth of the way through. We had the beam topping last week for the 70,000 square foot Ferguson Student Union. That will include 3 meeting rooms that'll house 300 people, basketball courts, indoor facility, workout facilities, also some food services in that place. We expect that to be open in March of 26. And that's caused a little bit of confusion with traffic. In fact, I told a couple of people this morning, we're standing on top of the swimming pool and we needed a student union while we built a new student union. So we converted this into the temporary student union until the new student union is finished. So we're happy to have that coming online in 26. We also have a new agriculture building that's being built up on the farm that will include welding and woodworking shops that came about because of Congressman Womack appropriations that we received. So we're thankful for that. And again, we're just thankful to have everybody on campus. Welcome to ATU, and we're glad to have you. Thank you.
I'm going to call the full board meeting to order. Just a quick reminder before we begin, I would like to ask everyone to please silence your cell phones. Our first agenda item is action item number 11. That is the minutes of the October 14, 2024 special meeting and the October 25th, October 14th and October 25th, 2024 regular meeting. Those minutes begin on page 11-1 of your agenda book. Are there any questions or changes to these minutes?
Make a motion, we accept. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you all. Action agenda item number 12. This is the report of the nominating committee. I want to start by saying that I have really enjoyed serving as chair of this board for the past 2 years. And it's really been an honor and really a highlight of my career to this point. And I appreciate all of your partnership over the last couple of years as well. But I'm going to be handing that over to somebody new for our next meeting. So the nominating committee has met and we have selected Dr. Jim Carr to serve as chair for this next year. Vice chair will be Lucas Pointer. Secretary will be Catherine Dudley. Ms. Carolyn Reinhardt will chair the academic committee and Mr. Lucas Pointer will chair the finance committee. So, do I hear any other nominations from the board at this time? If not, do I hear a motion to approve these nominations?
So moved.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. So congratulations to you all, and I know that you're going to do an excellent job moving forward, starting with our next meeting. So. Our next action agenda item number 13. This is the State Board of Higher Education Foundation election of supervisory committee. But since the State Board of Higher Education Foundation has been officially dissolved, we no longer have a need for these officers, so we will not be presenting this agenda item. Moving right along to action agenda item number 14. It's the reimbursement of expenses for members of the AHECB and ICAC boards. Dr. Ken Warden will present this agenda item.
Yeah, members of the board, you'll find in your packet, item number 14 is a resolution to approve reimbursement of expenses incurred for members of the coordinating board and members of the Institution Certification Advisory Board. This is official business that's required of us to do so that we can reimburse you for expenses incurred. I've also been told we're going to double your salaries for these positions. All kidding aside, these are not paid positions, and the work that these individuals do on behalf of higher education and helping us be right with the taxpayers of Arkansas is truly appreciated by me, and I know our schools. So thank you all for your service. Chair Bigger, thank you for your service for the past 2 years and the diligence that you display and digging in and taking care of our business and knowing our business. So I want to appreciate you all, but this is a required action item, so we would seek that you, ask that you approve this agenda item.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the reimbursement of expenses for members of the AHECB and ICAC?
So moved.
Second.
No. No, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Information agenda item number 15. This is the commissioner's report from Dr. Ken Warden.
Thank you, Chair Bigger. I'll be brief. I want to announce a couple institutional changes. The Board of Trustees, of the University of Arkansas announced the selection of United States Air Force Lieutenant General J.B. Severia, General Retired J.B. Severia, as the next president of the University of Arkansas System. General Severia formerly served as the Associate Vice President and Executive Director of Texas A&M University Bush School of Government and Public Service in Washington, D.C. He was also the former superintendent of the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs previously. We welcome him to the state. He is not with us this morning. He had other business, but let's give him a round of applause and welcome him to Arkansas. We are also pleased to announce that we received notification from the Higher and Learning Commission that they have blessed and approved the merger of the institution now known as East Arkansas Community College, soon to be known as the University of Arkansas, East Arkansas Community College. So they will be seeking the final step, which is a statutory change and a bill that we hope to see in the next week or so to be approved and made an act to make that official. So I want to congratulate Dr. Klein, UA System, for this work. I know it takes a lot of work. It's not easy to do, but we look forward to the economies of scale and service that the institution is going to provide to the community. So congratulations, UAEACC. Been trying to think how that acronym would actually pronounce it.
That's what I was,
Yeah, it's a bunch. We need another vowel in there. No. Couple other items. So, we've been talking about compressed bachelor's degrees, the 90-hour bachelor's degree. I'm pleased to announce that we pulled together a group under the leadership of Mason Campbell, our Associate Commissioner for Academic Affairs. The task force was comprised of 12 academic officers and really to look at and consider the impact of reducing bachelor degree requirements and where it fits and where it doesn't. They're in the process of pulling together recommendations and maybe a white paper for our consideration. I recognize the need that we need to be innovative and continue to do things to meet students where they are, to better serve students, to better serve our employers. This may be a way that we get that done. However, it's really critical that we do it correctly so we don't end up with credentials that aren't valued at the end of the day or dilute the academic venture which is some of the criticism of the degree. So we're trying to make sure that we do it the right way, that there is a place for this, and it's a good thing for students and a good thing for Arkansas and for our schools. So we're going to continue to work on that. But Mason, thank you, and thank you all who are serving on the task force. We're going to continue to do some work on that. So last but not least, as you may have read or know, that we have been working over the last 8 months or so on looking at ROI, or the return on investment of higher education. And we've wrapped up the early stages of that, and we'll be sharing in the next week or so with all of you and with the general public and members of the assembly what we found by degree and by associate and bachelor degree, the payoff that we see in the degrees, or not so much in some areas. So that's been a lot of work, and I look forward to sharing that with you all here really in the next week or two. So that more to come on that. And with that, Chair Bigger, that concludes my remarks.
I think you left out a very important piece of information. Commissioner Warden welcomed a new grandson yesterday, and then turned around and made it back here for the meeting this morning.
Don't get me started. I'm pretty shameless about it, but
He would hate to show you
yeah,
pictures.
I have pictures, and you will have to suffer those if you stop me after this meeting. But Jude Wayne Warden, first boy, grandchild, arrived at about 11:30 yesterday. If he were a black bass, we'd probably mount him. He was 8 pounds, 1 ounce, 8 pounds, 1 ounce. He's about 20.5 inches long. Big head full of dark hair, and I couldn't be more proud. Mom and baby are both happy and healthy, and glad to welcome Jude.
No, congratulations. But, so moving on from the commissioner's report, so on to agenda item number 16. Mr. Nick Fuller is going to present the annual enrollment report this morning.
As you can see, I am not Sonia Hazelwood, but I'm going to do my best at this. She is not, she's under the weather today, couldn't make it. But starting on the annual enrollment report, this first chart is the total unduplicated head count as of fall 2024. You'll see that it was at 155,446 students. That's an increase of 3.1% over 2023. It is still reflective of a 0.4% decrease from the 2019 year, which is pre-COVID, but we are almost back to that level. This next slide shows the 5-year trend broken down between the public 4-year, 2-year, the private institutions and nursing programs. You can see there is still slight increases in each sector other than the, Next one is the breakdown of just the 4-year institutions. You can see there is a 2.7% increase over the prior year of 23. And there is actually a 1% increase from that 2019 pre-COVID year. The next slide is going to show you a breakdown of each of the 4-year institutions and their percentage change year over year from 23 to 24. Following that will be also the breakdown of 2-year institutions. It shows a 1-year increase of 5.2%. The next slide showing the breakdown of each of those 2-year institutions. Next item will be the private institutions, who reflect a 0.1% decrease year over year. Then an institution breakdown of each of those. Next slide is going to be the high school student head count, which includes both concurrent students and those duly enrolled. You can see we are showing an increase of a little over 1,500 students from 23 to 24. And the last slide here will be the reflection of the FTE for full-time equivalent students over the past 5 years, which again is a 3% increase from 2023. There is additional data within your agenda books if you'd like to get more in-depth on those. Any questions? I can defer to someone else.
So this was interesting to look through. There were a couple of points that I really noticed. Looking at the number of high school students that has continued to rise is really encouraging, because I think we saw in a previous report that if we can get those kids in higher ed starting in high school, they're more likely to continue down the higher education path. And I also thought it was really interesting seeing the professional head count continuing to rise. But I just also want to recognize some of our colleges are seeing on the 4 years, 21% increase in enrollment over the last 4 years or so, which is incredible. So thank you all for that work. I know it's not a small task to be doing. So, and the same thing with some of our 2 years, we saw numbers like 49% increase in some of these, which is wild. But so keep up the great work. Y'all are obviously out there really selling higher education to these students, and we want that to be the case. Any other questions or comments?
Very interesting.
Moving on to information agenda item number 17, report on fall college going rate. Mr. Nick Fuller will also present this report.
And I believe this college going rate is a report that we haven't given to you in a couple of years. So it's something we wanted to get back in front of you to see. This measures the proportion of students enrolling in post-secondary education after the semester after finishing high school. First slide, you can see that over the past 5 years, the college going rate has been pretty steady other than the 44% in 2020. It's been right around that 42% mark, with it being 41.9% this past year.
Nick, is that enrolled in an Arkansas college or enrolled in college at all? I
I
thought
believe
it said
it's
here,
Arkansas, right?
in Arkansas higher education.
Yes, sir.
Wonder what that would be if we could get students who go out of state and elsewhere.
That's a very good
That
question.
has to be higher than that, obviously, but that just seems so low. Goodness, 40%, 4 in 10 go to college.
So let's say that, on average, the national college going rate or people that participate within proximity to high school graduation is around 62%.
Yeah, I've seen 60.
So we have a lot of room to grow in our participation rates. We're at 42, so we could just about 50% increase where we are and be on par with national average. So that's a goal of mine. I think as an industry sector, I've mentioned this before with our colleagues, I think that that's somewhere where we could find a better concerted effort across the state, not just one institution to the next, or, choosing to attend Arkansas Tech or UCA, or, we're pretty good at trying to get the kids in the county between us to come to campus. But as a sector, I think that we can improve
Absolutely.
to do that. And we've got some things underway. I think some of the ROI work that we're doing is going to really show empirically that there is a return to attending institutions of higher education, and it's a short period of time that it takes you to pay off that debt and return that monetarily. Not to mention the things that we know about higher education attainment, which include healthier, happier, more civically engaged, and all those attributes. So
we
it's
keep-
something that for me personally is at the top of mind always. It's how we enhance participation rates across the board.
We keep talking about this enrollment cliff in higher education. You could alleviate that just by improving the college going rate and then taking market share from these out-of-state schools that come in and recruit our kids to take them back out of state. So I think that the decline in the birth rate can be overcome pretty quickly if we'll do some of those things. 40% is very disappointing,
But just for clarification, this is high school students that are graduating and immediately turning around the next fall and going to school.
Yes, ma'am.
So do we think that the increase in concurrent enrollment in high school and as more students are getting degrees in high school, that's part of that slight decrease?
So we have that data. We don't have it in front of us, but that's something we could do. The limitations on the data of Arkansas high school students attending colleges and universities in Arkansas is really, that's a limitation of the data that we collect. So that's why we report it, because that's something we can factually say and know that we can verify that. When we get beyond that, sometimes, we're relying on data sources that aren't our own. So, but you can look at that and there is an increase. Obviously it couldn't go down, but it's not as large as you might think.
Is this Arkansas public higher education? So if they go to a private school in Arkansas, they're not counted. If they go out of state, they're not counted. I just have to think it's higher than 40%. I mean,
Well,
I don't know
I
how to
think, Nick,
collect-
can we
I don't
go
know how to
back to that
collect that
slide,
data.
because we do have slides that have private included, right? So we have in that slide, you see public,
Oh, yeah.
2-year, public,
Yes.
4-year, and privates. So we have the Arkansas privates in the
privates
slide.
included, not
But,
kids who go.
but it's public high school graduate, so they're
But you're
private
talking
high
about
school, we
private high
don't have
school attend-
those.
I'm just
Kids
talking
attending
about
private high school.
everybody going to high school in the state.
Right.
Private high schools, public high schools, and then not just going to school here, but going out of state to school.
Right.
I think our college going rate would be, I'm afraid we're presenting something that doesn't make us look very good when we're really better than that,
Sure. So,
for what it's worth.
say the next couple of slides are a breakdown of the number of students that attend each of those institutions. The first one is for the 4-year publics. Next slide will be the 2-year publics. Then the private colleges. That is all of the charts. If you have any other questions. And further, there is additional information within the agenda book for you.
Any other questions on this? Thank you, sir. Information agenda item number 18, Mrs. Colburn will present the annual report on Arkansas enrollments in out-of-state and private institutions.
The Institutional Certification Advisory Committee is the committee that reviews the academic programs that are presented by out-of-state and private institutions for approval, which is called certification. There are some institutions that aren't subject to this oversight, and that is the institutions that are in the state authorization reciprocity agreements, institutions that are church-related training only, and institutions on military bases. So something to keep in mind when you're looking at these slides, this is not including the institutions that are in SARA, the state authorization reciprocity agreements. This is a little bit of information about SARA. It's optional for Arkansas institutions to be involved. 39 institutions are in SARA and over 24 institutions nationwide have joined. So there's a lot of enrollment data at ncsara.org if you want to look at that. That may give you a more accurate picture about how many Arkansas students are enrolled in out-of-state institutions. So for the ICAC institutions, there are 42 institutions that fall under this oversight, and that's the breakdown of how they are offering their education. The number of degrees offered, there were 285 undergraduate degrees offered by these institutions, 533 graduate degrees with a total of 818 programs. There are 106 more programs that were certified last year than this year. So, and this is the data on the enrollment of students in these institutions. It's 3,800. And then the graduates is 1,300. So there are more graduates and people enrolled in these programs, but it's not as much of an increase as it has been in previous years. And these are the types of degrees that the students that are enrolling in these programs are graduating with. I did look at the actual degrees that are most common. The Master of Science in Nursing, the Master of Science in Social Work, and then Medical, Billing, and Coding certificates and associate degrees, and then Business Administration degrees were the most common. There are 30 institutions offering only church-related training, and so they're exempt, along with the institutions that are offering programs on military installations and the institutions that are participating in SARA.
Could you go back just a couple
Sure.
slides? It showed the increases in the number of students. That's a dramatic increases right there. Wow.
Right. But it's not as much as it has been in the past. And I think that this is not really a true picture of the students enrolled in out-of-state institutions, because those are mainly SARA participating institutions. So you would need to get an accurate picture, you would need to go to that SARA website and look, and they have it listed enrollments by out-of-state, like each out-of-state institution is listed, and it'll show you the Arkansas enrollments. And reversely, it shows the out-of-state students who are enrolled in Arkansas degrees. So
Wonder how many of those they are. How many of those are there? Do we know?
I don't know, but I can look it up and let you know, or yeah, you can look at that website. They have a lot of good data on that website.
It'd be interesting to know if Arkansas students are enrolled. Yeah.
Let's pull those figures and see what our net gain and loss is for.
Yeah, I could do that.
activity.
Yeah.
That out.
Those are pretty dramatic increases right there.
And for those of you who aren't familiar with Sarah, that state authorization reciprocity agreement, I mean, it was really just a godsend to our institutions of higher ed. Before that, if you wanted to do business out of state, you had to communicate with every state individually through the reciprocity agreement. You know, if you become a member of that, it allows you to do business with all reciprocal states, which is huge for those states wanting to do business here and you know, other schools on out-of-state schools wanting to do school business here, and our schools here who want to do business out of state. So
Interesting.
Any questions? Other questions?
Thank you. Information agenda item number 19. Mr. Mason Campbell will present the report on academic program viability for us.
Thank you, Chair Bigger. So just to, a little bit of background on this report, because it's still fairly recent that we changed it. Before January of 2023, this particular report was only delivered to the board once every 3 years. So a little bit out of sight, out of mind. And we've since adjusted the reporting schedule to bring this before you every single year. So this slide shows, we have a rogue line on there. I don't know how to get rid of that, sorry. This slide shows the viability standards for all credit-bearing programs, average of 4 graduates per year for CTE degrees and certificates, 4 per year for bachelor's degrees in STEM languages and ed, 6 graduates per year for associate degrees and bachelor's programs, 4 for master's specialist first professional programs, and 2 for doctorate programs. So every year, academic affairs staff work with our information systems technology and innovation team to produce a report of all the programs not meeting the viability standards based on the average number of graduates over consecutive 3-year periods, and considering their zip code assignments as the base premise for determining whether a program can be cognated with other programs. And so this graphic illustrates which academic years are considered in this viability report, and how those averages overlap within the 5-year period from 2020 to 2024. Keeping in mind that the report focuses on programs beyond the additional 2 years after being identified as non-viable. The yellow boxes indicate the initial 3-year average, then we consider 2 additional 3-year averages beyond to determine whether the program needs to be removed or not. And that allows us to see if a program may have achieved viability somewhere over a 5-year window. And then if any time in that 5-year window, if a program is viable and any 3-year average is not considered for deletion within the policy. So after the preliminary report's compiled, our agency staff share this report with each institution and allow the institutions a designated time frame to provide feedback to the agency regarding what to cognate and justifications for any low completion rates, and just to add some context to the data, because we can't see it all in there. So the initial report we produced, again, only included programs identified as non-viable based solely on their zip code, and that's that number there. We found 220 programs that needed a closer look. Compared to last year, we saw a reduction of about 80 programs being identified as non-viable. That number was 300 last year. Interestingly, the ratios of the programs were very similar. About a third are certificates of proficiency, about a third are technical certificates and associate's degree, and then the final third are bachelor's and above. And as I said, this list of 220s is truly just the beginning of the work. We send the list to the institutions, they look through, and we talk about program intent, program design through those discussions. A number of programs are adjusted based on those reasonable justifications allowed within the policy. Some examples of that rationale to remove programs from this non-viable list include, but are not limited to, like manually embedding stackable credentials within different zip codes, shared coursework across majors and program levels, some unique creditor requirements that literally don't allow you to graduate more than that number, than any statewide agreements and consortial agreements that we have. And then in addition to those rationales, institutions also very frequently voluntarily delete and inactivate programs through their own internal processes as you see those LONs come through. This year, we will see 52 program deletions and 11 program inactivations come through in the form of LONs between now and the July coordinating board meeting as a result of this process. This slide demonstrates the progress that we've made over the last 4 years. Yellow bars are those preliminary numbers identified as non-viable in 2021, dark blues 22. You get it. We've made progress, increasing at least the initial non-viability for all of our award types. And then we're also continuing to refine our formulas, processes, and reports to give the institution more information to help track that viability with the goal to continue to see decreases in the number of non-viable programs. So after all of our great work with the institutions, we do not have any programs this year to administratively remove through the viability process. Institutions are getting so much better at monitoring the viability and preemptively making adjustments outside of this process. So it's working. And we will continue to monitor any commitments made by institution as a result of this viability cycle. And this concludes my report.
Hasten, could you go back to the bar graph, please?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
So I want you to, to really notice, the number of, deletions and closures programs that we've had and how that's gone down. I want to appreciate Mason and our academic affairs team here. Most of them are here today, I think, all except for the other Tracy. Their work in doing this and cleaning up our degree offerings and working with our institutions and our CAOs and to get this work done. It's a lot of work, and it hasn't always been this way. And that team we have in place now, our entire team across the division, but in this instance, our academic affairs team. And this is good work by our institutions, but it's a partnership and a service mindset that Mason has of getting with our institutions and cleaning these things up so they don't just pile up and continue to get worse and worse. And there are some, things that make the viability list that are really low hanging fruit, that are low cost, that we want to keep on there, because even though they may not produce many degrees, it's degrees that are offered where classes are utilized in other degree offerings that we work through. And, the service that Mason and his team have and how they work with our schools to figure those things out and make these decisions is really, in my opinion, what's driven this decline in the numbers, for instance, and it just makes our whole system better. So thank you, Mason.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
This
you.
is just a great demonstration of good stewardship of limited state resources. So I think that's,
Thank you. I want to thank the institutions and chief academic officers for all they do to help us achieve meet these goals and these standards.
This is the report I kind of brace myself for every year, because I never want to see a program get deleted, inactivated. But I think that y'all's hard work, plus, what I've seen over the last few years is the CAOs coming forward with new proposals. Y'all have been so thoughtful about that and really strategic about who you serve in your regions, and it's really showing. And so thank y'all so much for all your hard work on this, because I know it was not easy.
Thank you.
On to agenda item number 20. This is an information item. Mr. Campbell will present the program review policy updates for us.
I think we might need a vote on a policy update.
Pardon?
We'll get through it. This is a policy update for the review of existing academic programs. This policy was last updated in 2008. And just to give the board some context regarding our path that led up to this update, the Higher Learning Commission requires program review for all existing programs. And then in addition, our state law and our ADHE policy complement and provide another layer of accountability and protection with the goal to positively influence the quality of academic programs. We began our approach by surveying all public institutions to collect feedback on the effectiveness of our existing policy. And then we convened a group of CAOs to serve as an advisory role. And then for over a year, our office has worked with that advisory committee to evaluate the survey results and consider any updates to the policy. This list summarizes the proposed adjustments. To sort of briefly explain, items 1, 2, and 5, I would consider to be non-substantive changes designed to just revise some old language and some practices that we no longer use inside the policy. Item 3 addresses some informal guidance issued by our agency and accreditors also related to when and how online and virtual reviews may be conducted. So we're building that in intentionally. And then item 4 addresses a substantive update to the types of reviewers allowed and required based on different program types. So institutions will still select a minimum of 2 reviewers affiliated with programs that are similar in mission and scope to the program being under review. But now career and technical certificate and associate degrees may allow 1 reviewer from a local or regional business or industry. General education and transfer associate degree programs will require a minimum of 1 reviewer from an Arkansas 4-year university. And then bachelor and graduate degree programs will continue to require a minimum of 2 out-of-state reviewers. So those are the substantive updates. The changes we're proposing are a culmination of feedback and support of recommendations from the surveys, the CAO advisory group, ADHE staff, the Higher Learning Commission, and our commissioner. We're confident that they will improve the quality, integrity, and efficiency of academic program reviews. And that concludes my report explanation.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Campbell on these updates? So I misspoke earlier. This actually needs to be an action item, not an information agenda item. So if there are no questions, do I have a motion to approve the program review policy updates?
So moved.
Thank you both. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to action agenda items number 21 and 22. Mrs. Alicia Lewis will present the rules governing the Arkansas Academic Challenge Scholarship Program and the Uniform Course Credit for institutions of higher education.
Thank you, Chair Bigger. The 2 agenda items that I have before you are rules that have already been presented for your consideration before the promulgation process. They have since been through the promulgation process and are coming back to you for final approval. The first one is the policy amendment on the Arkansas Academic Challenge Scholarship. And these changes to the rules were enacted because of the acts that you see on the screen, 413, 438, 539 of the general session of 2023. There's no known opposition, no anticipated fiscal impact. The changes were, the language included adding the summer semester eligibility and then the addition of the Challenge Plus component. Are there any questions about the rules, about this rule? Next, we have agenda item number 22. This is the uniform course credit rule. And of course, there was no known opposition, and then there was no anticipated fiscal impact. This rule creates a process for allowing uniform college credit for advanced learning opportunities such as International Baccalaureate, AP, and CLEP. Any questions regarding this rule? Any questions? Okay.
Thank you. So if there are no questions, do I hear a motion to approve the rules governing the Arkansas Academic Challenge Scholarship Program?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and then do I hear a motion to approve the rules governing the uniform course credit for institutions of higher education?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Lucas Pointer, will you present the report of the Finance Committee for us?
All right, the Finance Committee's reviewed agenda items number 1 and number 2 and recommends the approval of agenda item number 3.
Do I hear a second to approve agenda item number 3 based on the Finance Committee's report? Okay, I have a second. All in favor? Any opposed? You. And Dr. Jim Carr is going to present the report of the academic committee.
The academic committee has reviewed information items 6, 7, 9, and 10, and we recommend the approval of agenda items 4, 5, and 8.
Thank you. Do I hear a second to approve agenda items 4 through 5 and number 8 based on the academic committee's report? Okay, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all. So that kind of concludes the business portion of today's meeting. And we're now going to open the floor to any presidents or chancellors who wish to address the board this morning. Our next quarterly meeting will be held on April 25th, 2025 at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia. Thank you all for your attendance and participation this morning, and thank you to Arkansas Tech for your hospitality again. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Not yet. I just want to thank you for the great job you've done as our chairman. Chair Bigger comes to all meetings and she's well prepared and she has just been outstanding. So keep being the champion you are.
Thank
Yeah.
So nice. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Thank you.